Thank you for joining us from the WRUF Social Media Lab. I'm joined today by Rob Russo. He is one of the stars of our Sports Lab show, which airs every day from 2 to 4. First hour is Kevin Winter, and then we have a couple of folks that come in every single day that kind of rotates in and out. But Rob, we got you in here today getting ready for Kevin Winter ahead of Billy Napier's Monday morning press conference. If you could just kind of introduce yourself real quick and run through kind of your thoughts from over the weekend before we head over to Kevin.
Well, how you doing, everyone? Rob Russo here as we get ready for Billy Napier to give his thoughts to the media coming up at 11:30. I was in Baton Rouge this weekend. I made the 8.5-hour drive from Gainesville to go there, and I was not treated kindly. To a nice game from the Gators. Unfortunately, dropped this one 20-10, and it was ugly, right? It was a scrappy game. It was a defensive game, no doubt about that. I think the big number for me at the end of this is 49. DJ Lagway threw 49 passes in this game. That's the most of his college career by a significant margin. And in 49 passes, he threw 5 interceptions. That's a lot. That's the largest number since Shane Matthews back in 1992, I believe. So that's just, it wasn't great, right? 49 passes for a guy who has not been a middle of the field reader, not a guy who hits his checkdowns, not a guy that even looks for many checkdowns, right? To make him throw 49 times, put him in passing situations that many times, and then continuing to see the same result, it's something that I continue to question.
Rob, last year when they went on that incredible run at the end of the year, right? Everybody hyped up what DJ Lagway was doing, but if you go look at the box scores for those games, look, I'm not saying that he didn't completely change the dynamic of the team. He really did. Like, he gave defenses pause. They had to at least think about, one, the deep throw. They also had to think about him running with his legs. But if you look at the box scores, maybe one game over 20 passes outside of maybe the Stanford game,
right,
if that. And then all of those games he had under like 200 yards passing, if I remember right, outside of the Stanford game. It seemed like the recipe for Florida to be able to win games at the end of last year's play great defense, check. That's what they're doing right now, and run the ball. And they've done one of those two things. They've only given up 2 touchdowns across 3 games, and they're 1-2. But there's obviously something missing on the offensive side of the ball, and it may be, the old SNL skit. I need more cowbell. This feels like I need less Lagway right now.
Right.
In that, like, we just don't need 50 attempts, from him at the quarterback. But how much of that could be attributed to him not being able to run the ball as a quarterback?
Well, that's an interesting point. I was actually very surprised watching this game because you look back at last year, after the Georgia game, his legs were taken completely away from him, right? That's when he had the hamstring injury that developed into more problems in the lower leg, and at that point, he just stopped being a runner. It ceased to exist. That was not something that he could, and that's not something that they wanted him to do. This game, I saw him take off on a couple of read options where he pulled the ball back and just looked downfield and ran. I think he had 9 carries, including the scramble. So I don't know how, maybe about 4 times he took off and took some chunk yardage himself. For him, like 49 passes, right? A lot of them coming from the line of scrimmage. A lot of them coming pretty close to the line of scrimmage. But you talk about running the football. Jaden Baugh is maybe pound for pound the best player on this offense. He got 10 carries in this game. In a game where the best tackler, the middle linebacker, Whit Weeks, was out on the first series, ejected for targeting on a hit on Vernell Brown. And you just didn't run the ball up the middle. You didn't do it after that first drive. And this is the second game in a row where that happened, where you have the run and you completely abandon it. I honestly, in this game, I don't think it was ever really established. And I know this is an LSU defense, right, that was giving up less than 2 yards a carry. But they had never seen someone like Jaden Ball before. And now you take away the heart of the middle of their defense. You can push the ball up the field if you just continue to run Jaden Ball, ride that horse. 10 carries, that number should be up to 20.
Justin Baxley and Rob Russo here. We're discussing some things from the social media lab here at the University of Florida. Rob, you bring up an interesting point about the running the football. Obviously, we're in the social media lab, so I kind of stay in tune to what folks are saying on social media. What I saw a lot of LSU fans saying on socials on Saturday night, Sunday morning, was that they really felt like that the two running backs, they were like, man, if you guys would just run the ball with them, like they could be, both of them could be the second coming of Derrick Henry, the way they were running through our defense. But then you're right, when you start looking at the actual number of carries, they didn't get enough. And like when you're in a defensive struggle, and especially when your offense is struggling and you're leaning on your defense to keep you in football games, time of possession's huge, and Florida seems to be winning the battle of time of possession quite a bit. But the problem is they're not cashing in with touchdowns. Now look, one of those should have been a touchdown, the 87-yard run to Jaden Ball on like the third or fourth drive of the game. That gets called back for holding. A lot of holding penalties, ton of holding penalties. Now granted, the old saying is there's holding on every place. I mean, you just have to hope that the refs aren't calling it. And I thought that one was pretty weak compared to some of the ones that like we saw, across the game. But I guess kind of going back to it is, with LSU fans really being able to pick up on the fact that their run defense was struggling to hold the guys at once they get hit. They were running through the arm tackles pretty well. Rob, do you think that, like, going forward, what is the path to victory for Florida as we start looking down this? I mean, it's still a very daunting schedule. Like, that's the thing. This was supposed to be the week where it picked up, and they already got 2 losses.
Yeah, I think, this is what we were saying last week coming into this game. You have to be able to run the football on LSU, and it was a question of whether or not you would be able to do so. I think that question was kind of left unanswered, right? Just because you didn't see enough of it. Jaden Ball started to really pick up steam, especially in that third quarter where he got some really solid runs off. And then once again, you stopped doing. There was plenty of time on the clock, right? You're not coming back from, after the pick 6 from Lagway, now you're down 2 scores. But before that, right, you're in a 1-score game. You're down by 3. Which is, you could be in way worse positions, even after the 2 interceptions in the first half, one of them setting up a field goal before the end of the half for LSU. Got a 3-point swing, or a 6-point swing, I guess, there against Florida. I really think that the path to victory is going to be running the football. It's certainly going to be, if you're going to stick with DJ, not having him throw 49 times in a game. That is not the type of quarterback that he is, right? He's just not that type of guy. He should not be put in those situations. And I'll say this also. He didn't have a good game, right? I thought the play calling, although they should have ran the ball more, was generally pretty solid. I don't know if I agree with everything 100%, but I got the vision. I watched that team go into halftime down 13-10, and I understood what Napier was going for. And this game, honestly, put into perspective a little bit more the game last week, because the question being, why isn't DJ taking any deep shots? Why are we not pushing down the field? Why are we not getting more aggressive? Anytime that you try and get more aggressive, DJ threw a pick in this game. So if you look back to last game, if you look back to more of this reserved play calling, perhaps that's for a reason, because in practice he's been throwing picks too, and that's been an issue there, and now we're seeing it in real game circumstances as well.
Yeah, are we at a situation where Billy understands that this is what he's got to work with right now? That he can't very well, call the game as if he's working with, a top tier quarterback. Yeah. And that's the unfortunate part right now is that, look, again, you're never going to agree 100% with the play calling of any offensive coordinator, or in this case, head coach. But at the same time, like, you only are as good as the tools you have to work with. And if DJ's hurt or DJ's lack of actual reps is starting to catch up with him, and two, like last year there was no tape on the kid. They're not playing the same way they played him last year. They're making him try to beat them with intermediate throws. They're taking away the deep ball, which puts you in a situation where, like, if your quarterback is struggling to make those intermediate throws, it's going to be harder to do that. But we'll obviously have Billy talking here in the next little bit. Kevin Winter will bring you a little bit of a pregame to his press conference this morning, Monday morning. But you got me and Rob Russo right now talking a little bit here on YouTube, just to kind of get you primed and ready to go. Robbie, you said you made the trip to Baton Rouge. I've made that pilgrimage before. It's a heck of an experience. I also went there to support a team. That team lost, so I get the parallels there. Tell us a little bit about that experience, what that was like. Obviously not the way we wanted things to end for the Florida football team there, but they they at least showcased something. Did you come away feeling any sort of feelings of hope, or and then what was that experience like just being over there?
Well, it was a long drive. Like I said, 8.5 hours. Took a while to get there. Couple stops. Went to Buc-ee's. As a northerner, that's a unique experience for me, always. And so I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the town of Baton Rouge. We got to get around there for a little bit before the game, talk to some folks and get their thoughts on the game. Of course, most of them were cheering for LSU. And got in there, was able to get on the field for a bit, do some pregame stuff, some stand-ups, shoot some things, then up in the press box. I was talking to Greg McElroy, former Crimson Tide quarterback. He was on color commentary alongside Sean McDonough for the television broadcast, and he kind of had everything just spot on up there. And when we were having a conversation, he's talking about how Lagway isn't setting his feet. He's not seeing the field properly. He's not progressing to the backside read. And to keep an eye out for Jaden Baugh as a pass catcher. I mean, he was dead on every single one of those points, right? I mean, so that was pretty cool to see kind of the things that he was pointing out, the things that he noticed as a former quarterback in the SEC kind of come to fruition. So that was pretty dope. Going forward, things that I see positively from this team, I mean, this defense is monstrous. I am extremely proud of the effort that we see each and every week from this defensive unit. You get Caleb Banks back, and then unfortunately he re-injures his foot almost immediately. He was on a limited snap count already, and it's heartbreaking for the kid. Someone especially who can go in the first round if he's fully healthy and fully has the time to go out there and do damage. So his health still a concern for this defense, but they managed. Right, Bet came back in after his 1-quarter suspension because of the depth issue on the line, and Boyro was not playing as well, so they had to slide him in there. Did pretty solid too. The defensive line they definitely were not as solid as they were last year against Garrett Nussmeier, but they made him get uncomfortable. They got some pressure on him. The DBs, there was a couple hole shots that they gave up, but they bent and they really didn't break too much. There was a blown coverage on the touchdown to Anderson, I believe, and the one play that was right up the seam that they got all the way down to around the 20, that they could have punched in for a score. Gators get a huge stop, tackle for loss, fumble, penalty, punt. I mean, what else can you ask for? It's all hustle. It's all heart. Even on the last play of the game, the last interception, I should say, from DJ Lagway, when you see Cormani McLean, who was a guy that's his hustle, his heart, his dedication to a program has been questioned in the past. It's the reason that he left Colorado and came to Florida as a preferred walk-on, booking it down the field. DJ Metcalf trying to catch the DB style in that game. I don't know if you remember that one back a couple of years ago. Hightailing it down to stop a touchdown on the other end. All heart, all hustle. This team and what Ron Roberts is doing on this defense is incredibly impressive, and I look forward to watching them.
Yeah, this defense is special, and it's one of those things you feel bad for them watching the offense play right now. But you bring up obviously some interesting points that, um, Cormani McClain, that kid, former
Yep.
5-star, one of the best kids coming out of high school, but you're right, came here to prove a point. I mean, he, preferred walk on. I mean, how many of those kids do you see? Obviously you see the preferred walk ons, the Baker Mayfields, the Stetson Bennett's of the world that get all the headlines. But this is a kid that was a former 5-star. Like, nobody believed in the other two guys when they were coming out of high school, right? Not in the same way. Everybody believed in Cormani McClain's talent, but they didn't always believe in the work ethic, or they didn't believe in the attitude, whatever it may be. He's showing right now that he absolutely belongs on that field. And then, from a big, try to take 1,000-point view of this, it seems like, the defense in college football right now as a whole is ahead of the offense in a lot of ways. We see that from all the big matchups early on in the season. Clemson LSU was a defensive struggle. Ohio State Texas, defensive struggle. You point to any of those, they've all been defensive struggles. And so, like, you expect them to be ahead, but you just need something from the offense right now for Florida to feel good about. And so far that hasn't happened. We'll talk just real briefly. There's a couple coaches that were let go over the weekend. Deshaun Foster at UCLA, and then the one over at Virginia Tech. Something that a lot of folks are talking about right now, obviously with the hot seat for Billy, is also this transfer portal stuff. Now the 30-day window opens for those UCLA kids and those Virginia Tech kids. Wonder what Nico's going to do, but specifically, with that kind of rule in place, that not necessarily they're going to go play. They're not, but they'll have the red shirt and all that, so they can sit. Go ahead and get locked in with the program. Go ahead and be around that program. That's obviously going to be very important. Do you think that gives certain teams pause around, making that kind of move mid-season? Because if you do, the one good thing, if you wait till the end of the year, the new coach gets to come in and hopefully re-recruit a lot of those players. It's tough to re-recruit guys, a 30-day window in the middle of the season that can go before you ever get to hire your coach.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And also, you save a lot of money if you wait till the end of the season, and that's something, especially when there's who are you bringing in as head coach? Who is going to take over this team and be the leader, because everyone else has a job already. I'm not bought into bringing in John Gruden to come be the coach of Florida football. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm just not. And so if you're going to wait and you're going to try and make a bid at someone at the end of the season, you can save money on the buyout if you wait. And you can, like you said, have a full off season to try and hold as many guys as you possibly can, bring in some new guys, kind of change things around. But in the midseason, you'd probably promote Ron Roberts to interim head coach. I don't know who would call the offense. Russ Callaway, I would assume. I don't know if you're better off in that situation. I really don't, because the offense that's been schemed has been schemed by both Napier, even though he's calling the plays mainly, and Russ Callaway as well. And then the defense is already doing its thing. But it can be a lot of pressure for a defensive coordinator to step up into that head coaching role and be in charge of 100 different things at once, and the defense could then start to suffer. We see that NFL level when they bring in DCs to come be head coaches, and that's why there's just not too many great head coaches at any level, right? It's hard to win. It's hard to be a game manager head coach that has responsibilities to the offense or the defense. I would assume that if a move is made, it has to be the season is up in flames. You probably miss a bowl game, and which is on the table right now. It's on the table right now, and it's just there's no denial left. I saw some stat that said Napier would have to win 28 games in a row to get to the winning percentage that Dan Mullen was at when he got fired from his job here at Florida. That's where we're at right now, and so I understand this game. I think this game was clearly more on the players on the field, in particular your quarterback, than it was on the coaches, which I think last week you could definitely attribute more to the coaching staff than to the players on the field. But as the head coach, you are a representative of your team. All of the good, all of the bad, that funnels right back up to you. So you have to take that on the chin. You have to roll with it. And I think soon. I don't think that the same head coach will be on the sideline next season. I don't think that's a possibility.
Well, Rob, obviously a lot that we got to this morning, but we're going to send this over to Kevin Winter as he gets ready to get the Billy Napier press conference rolling here on WRUF. Remember, we're going to have live local programming all the way until 6 p.m. tonight. Join us for Sports Scene with Steve Russell, the Sports Lab with Kevin Winter, and then two of our wonderful stars from over in the INC here at the University of Florida, and then the tailgate with Pat and Jeff. They'll take you home on your drive. Appreciate it, Rob. We'll probably be doing a lot more of these here from the Social Media Lab. Good to have you along.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of fun. I'm going to hold out hope for Miami. We'll see how it goes.